Ron, I've never been better. I can tell you're thinking about my state of being, my state of mind, and I appreciate the thought. How are you?
I guess I don't have to ask. I'm doing really good. I'm doing really well today. We got a great show, so much to talk about today, and that hockey game last night was pretty incredible in a lot of different ways.
A lot of different ways. I'm trying to figure out, I think everybody wants to bottle up what happens on the good days and take it to the next day, Ron, but so much of it seems random. It really does. Yeah. I got a horrible sleep last night. I feel great. Yesterday, I was coming off a great sleep, but the minute I woke up, the day started going bad. Even on the ride to school, I was telling my daughter, I said, I can already tell. We're hitting every red light today. We're hitting where things are happening early in the day. Yeah, how do I turn this around? And I never did. I came into work. All hell broke loose at work yesterday. It was a bad day.
But you contradicted yourself already.
How?
You've contradicted yourself. You said you woke up, bad night, but yet you're feeling great. Yet what happened to you this morning?
I did get a flat tire.
Oh, that's a pretty significant
that's the thing. That's the thing.
Who gets flat tires?
Why is it?
Don't jinx me. I'm not spitting into the air. It'll land on my face.
Why on a day when I don't sleep hardly at all, I should be in a terrible mood, and something like that happens to me? I'm fine with it. Everything's good. I got help from a man named Jason.
That would set you off, I would figure.
I can't figure it out.
Well, first of all, why did you sleep poorly last night? Were you wound up about Marchand?
A little anxious. Mad about him? Anxious about other things happening, and I did have to watch the Penguins on tape because I had other things going on when the game was happening live. But it's all good now, Ron. I'm in a loaner car. I've seen you already. I'm happy.
The only problem is you'll hit the wall at some point during the show, and I'll have to take the brunt of it.
Probably.
There's no doubt.
Sometime. Let's hope it doesn't happen until at least 1 when Ed Bouchette gets here.
But it's pizza day.
Yes, it is. We have Jay Caulfield at 11.
We'll have to talk about with him.
Unfortunately, I mean, as great as Jari was, the lead story to this game by a trillion miles is Brad Marchand. And some people like to call him Brad Marchand. I know, Ron. You may even be one of them.
I go Marchand.
Yeah. I know Mearsy and Bibbs go Marchand. But many people go Marchand. So who cares?
Punk? How about Punk?
Punk.
Does that work?
Yeah.
Cheap shot guy?
How about jerk?
Cheap shot guy?
How about suspended for at least 5 games? And yet, Ron, I don't even feel like that's the story here in Pittsburgh. The story is more about how people reacted to it and about how the Penguins reacted to it or didn't react. Bob Grove.
Did you see Grove's tweet?
Yeah.
I was just going to say.
Yeah. Basically said, he says, I'm sorry, but sorry, Marchand should be buried under 18 players after that. And look at the comments under it. Got 1.5 thousand likes. And I understand the reaction. I do. It's an emotional reaction for fans. They want, you want that. You never want to be part of a situation where you're getting your ass kicked and you don't fight back. I get it. But for me, Ron, I don't care about that. I care more about the physicality from the game itself and how the Penguins at times were manhandled. But we've been over this topic a trillion times. We're going to go over it again with Jay. What do you want them to do? Do you want Sidney Crosby to go fight him?
Perfect.
You want Letang to go fight him? Are you sorry that Letang got pulled away by the linesman?
Perfect that Jay's going to be with us today because, obviously that was his job when he played. Plus, at that point, it's a 1-goal game, right? Russ had the empty netter later or before that? Was it 1 goal?
I thought it was 2 goals at that point.
Well, then Russ maybe scored the empty netter before. It's still a game. You want to do something stupid, take penalties, and lose the game? I don't. I get Grover's feelings about this, and it was a real cheap shot. In case anybody's listening to us that didn't watch the game, Marchand. I go one way once and then the other way. Marchand, cheap shot, punched him, sucker punched him in the side of the head. Yeah. And then gets pulled away, and then as he's going towards the penalty box, he jabs his stick in Jari's face.
Right.
I mean, right in his face, right in his mask. It was 2 horrendous, I thought, cheap shots. He's known for it. He's been suspended, you said, 6 times?
6 times, fined 3 times. Remember James Neal clipped him in the head with his knee that one time?
Oh,
do you remember that?
I do remember that. That's one of those, like, the Bengals and Hines Ward. He has it coming, Yeah, you have to pick your spots. Maybe somewhere down the road somebody will be able to make him answer. But I want to win the game. And I think that's what Sullivan coaches and what he teaches. Don't lose control. I guess Bruce Cassidy, the coach of Boston, kind of ripped Marchand, saying he's a leader on this team. He's got to control his emotions better than that.
I mean, he was licking people on the ice a few years ago, Ron. Man. The guy obviously has a screw loose.
But you know what? He's an outstanding player.
Yeah. Well, so what?
I know.
So what? I mean, so is Tom Wilson. Tom Wilson's a really good player, too.
He's going to let his team down again with a suspension.
He's done this crap before.
My point when I say outstanding player, he doesn't have to be this.
Right.
Play this game to be effective.
Right. And you can
nor does Tom Wilson.
You can be a complete pest and annoy people without crap like that. I mean, Jari didn't get hurt that we know of, at least.
Right.
So that probably mitigates the suspension and makes it less of a story around the league. But it was just a cowardly. That's another thing. Completely cowardly. It was a sucker punch.
Sucker punched him in the side of the head. Yeah.
And the story then becomes, why don't the Penguins retaliate? I asked Jay about this a month ago. It's all around the league. You can do anything you want to goalies these days. And, 20, 30 years ago, a guy would have gotten his head bashed in. It's not just the Penguins. This doesn't really happen around the league. Now, the Bruins are a team that tends to retaliate or over-retaliate like they did last night for incidental contact between Sid and Bergeron. But where has that gotten them? Did I miss something, or did the Penguins win 2 Stanley Cups without having a guy who took people's heads off and fought? Right. Then they brought in a guy like that, and they didn't win, and Sully didn't want to play him.
They didn't play him.
I don't care. Your reasoning is the Penguins still had a game to win. My reasoning more is I think they would have won anyway, and I would love to see a pound of flesh get taken if Brian Boyle was on the ice. Fine. You had your first line on the ice and your first defense pair.
Well,
why would you want one of those guys to mix it up?
I don't know if it was Joey that said, people were ripping Sid for not going after him. Sid didn't see what happened. He had his back turned.
If he did, would you want him going after people and fighting? I wouldn't.
I would think Sid probably would, knowing Sid. But,
well, Letang tried to.
No, I don't want those guys to get hurt. That's not – no, I don't. You got to hope that the league comes through, which I know is sometimes asking a lot, that, they give this guy a stiff suspension.
And that's not going to do any good either.
So
here's the other thing.
It punishes Boston. It punishes him. He loses some money.
It's not going to change him. He'll do the same thing when he plays the Penguins next time. I can promise you that.
I don't think it's just the Penguins. I think he does this to a lot of teams.
Yes, he is who he is.
That's the way he plays it.
And that's the other
Tom
point.
Tom Wilson's had a very quiet year, hasn't he? Have you heard anything about
Seemingly,
him this year?
Yeah, there's been a couple little things.
For him, it's been quiet.
It's percolating.
Did you see the picture from the All-Star weekend of Wilson? Who was it? Wilson and Backstrom with Jari and Gensel, like yucking it up.
Right.
Teammates.
Yeah.
I thought about that. Wilson, he'll take Gensel's head off if he gets a shot at it.
Well, that's the other thing is the deterrent factor. Like, I saw people saying this sends a message to other teams about the Penguins. What? People don't already know this about the Penguins? Really? Other teams are other teams are going to try this now? They've been trying it for 15 years.
It's not the way Sullivan coaches.
It's not. And more to the point, you're not going to change anybody. They could have, all 5 guys on the ice could have pinned down Marchand and started cracking him on the head with sticks like he was, what's the thing at the amusement park, Ron, where it pops up and you bat it back down?
Yeah.
Whack-a-mole. They could have beaten his head in with sticks, taken turns. And you know what? It wouldn't have changed him at all. Not at all.
That's the way he plays the game.
But having said all that, I get the emotional part of it. I do. Nobody likes to be aligned with the kid who gets beaten up in the schoolyard. You don't want that as a fan, and emotionally
was that you back in the day?
Once. You want your pound of flesh. And fans want that. And I hear what Grover's saying. I get it. I completely get it. But my answer, and I bet you Sully's answer is, what's that got to do with winning the game?
Play the game.
What's it got to do with winning the game?
I agree. Play the game. Beat him on the scoreboard. That's the best place you can beat him.
And, man, Sully couldn't have made his position on this more clear than when Jim Rutherford put up a middle finger to Gary Bettman and the rest of the league and said out loud, our stars are getting abused. We've just won 2 cups. Look at this. I'm bringing in the toughest guy in the league. And Sully's response to that was, this is great. I'm not playing him. That's all I needed to know about how Sully feels about this whole thing. Listen, when the Penguins won those cups, Ron, it wasn't like people pushed them around. They had guys who could exact a pound of flesh, maybe not by fighting, but by hitting. Chris Kunitz was one you had to watch out for. Patrick Hornquist was absolutely one. Ian Cole was one on the back line.
Bonino would hit you too.
So it wasn't like they weren't tough. And I don't know about this team either. This team seems plenty tough to me. I think they could probably use more of a physical presence on the blue line. That's more the story of this game from last night.
See, that's another story for me, is the Penguins are a great regular season team. But are they going to be good in the playoffs where the game changes with the officiating?
If the goalie plays the way he did, not last night, he played like historically great. If they get anything but disastrous goaltending, the Islanders did this same crap to them last year. And guess what? The Penguins turned the other cheek, outplayed them, and should have won the series.
But that's only one series, Joe. I'm just saying, can they – the way the game is called in the playoffs, they don't call penalties. Right now, the Penguins' power play has just been unbelievable since Malkin came back. Sid had the big goal last night. The game winner was on the power play.
Yeah.
But if you don't get the power plays in the tournament, are they going to be good enough to win? I worry about that. I think there's a big difference between being built for the regular season and being built for the playoffs.
I think they would have been fine.
Now, they would have
in the
beat the
playoffs
Islanders
last year.
last
Yeah,
year.
and
I
think
don't know how far they would have gone. Maybe.
I think they would have beaten the Bruins after that and lost to Tampa Bay. But not, I don't think on account of them, not have. What are you saying? Not physical enough, or not having a guy who kills people?
If the penalties aren't being called and the Islanders beat up their guys in front of the net, and the Penguins don't have the people to do that to the other team. And that's what I mean by because the game changes with the way it's called.
I mean, I'll take goaltending.
And, hey, Brian Burke is all for it. Change. Let them play. Let them play.
I'll take goaltending. I think the Penguins can win playoff series. I think they need an upgrade on the back end in terms of physicality. I think the Pettersson-Marino combo gets pushed around. Bruins spent a lot of time in the Penguins' end. And here's why the shot clock rang up the way it did for them.
45
is because
shots.
One shot turns into 3, like 3 rapid-fire shots.
It out of there.
Yeah, because they can't clear people or pucks in front of the net last night.
Jari was, the first period he gave up a couple goals. He was absolutely spectacular.
Give me that. Give me even something a little less than that, and they can win playoff series. Although I would still argue for an upgrade in physicality. So I don't know. I think this team is well built for a playoff run. But you got to get goaltending, Ron, right?
No, there's no doubt.
This guy might be the best goalie in the league right now.
Certainly, the guy in New York with the Rangers is the leading Vezina guy, but
Jari's
got to be getting a lot of consideration.
Yeah, Freddie Anderson in Carolina too. I think he's the only other one that's in the top 5 in wins, goals against, save percentage. The guy in Tampa's pretty good. He'll have numbers by the end for sure. Your thoughts on Marchand or Marchand from last night? I'm going to tell you about a play from the game that I thought could have been far worse than anything Marchand did. But your thoughts as a fan, does it matter to you beyond emotion, beyond raw emotion? Does it matter whether the Penguins have guys or whether they're willing to, as Bob Grove put it, just bury Marchand after a play like that? What does it matter to you as a fan? Does it matter? 412-928-9370. We're going to talk to Chelsea Messenger next with the Super Bowl coming up. You're going to want to hear her and her talk about Super Bowl props, all the crazy bets, and all the smart bets you could do for this game. Ron, I'll say it right now because we are going to be talking to Chelsea next. There was a play where the Bruins retaliated, and it was Grzelcyk with a hit on Sid over by the boards after the Bruins decided that Sid had done something wrong with Bergeron, which was absolutely incorrect. It was incidental contact, and I'd be perfectly willing to say if it was something more than that, it wasn't. And so they went after him, and Bob Airey was exactly right. If that's not Sidney Crosby with his incredible balance and athleticism by the boards, That, too, was a gutless, cowardly hit by Grzelcyk that could have sent Sid, would have sent another lesser athlete careening into the boards head first. Totally gutless play. It's all we'd be talking about today if that wasn't Sidney Crosby that he hit from behind. Did you see it?
I did not. I'm going to have to look for it at the break. I missed that one.
Bibbs called it really dangerous and that lucky it was Sid. And trust me, he would have gone flying head first into the boards, and then it just got worse with Marchand late in the third period. Love to know Marchand. Your thoughts. Your thoughts as a fan when you watch that, and do you think the Penguins need a guy or a few? The thing I don't get, Ron, I don't think they deserve to be criticized for not going after him and burying him.
You know
That's
what?
Your top line on the ice.
And I know what we've gotten calls before. There are a lot of people that would have wanted their pound of flesh even if it had cost them the game. They would rather lose the game and see Marchand pay a price for that.
I understand
that. I guarantee you there's a lot of people out there. Me, I'm more along the Sully lines. I want to win the damn game, hurt them that way.
I think they would have won anyway, though.
Maybe.
I understand that mode of thinking, but not with that group on the ice.
Yeah, that's true, too.
Why was that group on the ice with a 2-goal lead? Maybe to get Sid's 500th goal?
Still, a 2-goal game is not in the bag at that point, right? Was that sure? Well, I got to check the time on it.
Check the time. Maybe it was a 1-goal game still.
But it's still, even a 2-goal game, it's still a game. You want to have your best players out there. I don't know.
With the way that the Bruins seem bent on revenge, Ron, from the Bergeron thing, if you do want to have him out there. But I do get it if you have an empty net and a potentially a 500th goal. So I understand that if that was the reasoning.
And now he may get it tomorrow night in an empty building in Ottawa. That would almost seem like a shame.